A trellis can be made up of a billion different items. You can buy one at the store. You're more than welcome to spend money on that. Or you can take a little time and do a DIY trellis out of items you already have. There's an endless variety of styles and materials you can use. Much like we have with our Scarlet Runner Bean trellis here. We had an old frame that we're using for another project, and we just ran string up and down both sides, attaching them to the ground with metal stakes. Now, for our cucumber trellis here, we're using kind of the same concept, but a little different twist. The components of this build are 2 fence posts, and this does not have to be anything close to what you may have available. This is just an idea of how it can relate to giving you some ideas to how better to improve your trellising. And the key to trellising is to elevate and allow climbing crops to get off the ground so you have more space. This will be for our pickling cucumbers and our lemon cucumber trellis here. We should be able to get between 24 and 36 plants. So we've got 2 fence posts, and then for the post, these are, I found these a couple of years ago, these are railing for a staircase. So if you was going to the basement or upstairs, this is the handrail that we're going to use for posts. So the first thing we're going to do is we put the post in, the metal post. Now the wooden post we want to put behind, and I'm going to take our ball of twine here, and I want to go ahead and tie this down because I don't think putting this in the ground deep enough, or at least for our purposes, is going to make it as sturdy as it could be with the assistance of a metal post. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is tie the metal post to the wooden post. Alright, so I've got my 2 main posts up. Now you could build this however you choose to. Obviously, if we had enough space, we could lay the main post down and then take our bamboo stake and do what I'm about to do on the step stool and strap it to the top here. But since we didn't have enough room, I can go ahead and do it this way. Now I'm going to go ahead and tie it to the top of the post on this side, and then I'll just bring it eye level to this side here so we can get a good straight trellis top. Because I don't want to do it something like that just looks horrible, and I don't like it. So we're just going to go ahead and tie it off like this, and sometimes it will take a couple extra hands if you have to do it on a ladder. But if you have enough space, you can just lay it down and go about that way too. So I'm going to go ahead and get this tied off here. Alright, so I've got this tied off here. I'm just adding a little more string on the tall post here just to strengthen so this bamboo stake doesn't slide down. Now obviously I could probably put a nail in this and nail it to this. I mean, if you're making this out of 2x4s or some material like that, you could use screws or bolts or nails or whatever, but you may not have that, and string may be the only thing you have. So that's what that's what we're going to do. We have nails and bolts and screws, but I'd much rather use string. So I'm just going to tie it off one more time here. Get that nice and secure, because when we have 24, 36 cucumbers on here, plants growing, this could get quite heavy. So, alright, so we're going to look at the structure of the center here in a minute. I'm going to get this finished tied off. Okay, so in order to structurally support the top a little bit more, I had a little bamboo stake that we ran the length here, and then as we tie the string here, we'll wrap it around so it'll kind of add more support there. I don't think that we'll have any issue with it being too heavy that this thing's going to snap in half, but hey, maybe we'll have cucumbers the size of, I don't know. So we're going to set these strings up that the cucumbers will grow on 6-inch increments. And now what we've done here is I've taken 2 more pieces of bamboo, and this is going to be the bottom structure on both sides. And if you're like us, if you dig enough in your garden, you're going to find plenty of rocks and boulders, I guess. And we're going to put a rock on each side of the bamboo so it'll hold it down. Now you want this to be the string to be somewhat tight, but again, we're not trying to hold cattle in this trellis here. We just want it strong enough and tight enough to where when we plant the cucumber will find the string, and then as the cucumber grows up on both sides, it'll add tension and it'll be strong enough that way. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one measured. It's good to have a lot of string because you might want to have a little bit more than what you think you need, just so you have plenty to tie it off. And you want to just kind of get this as even as you can across both sides. And we'll just tie it off, put a knot, and then when it's cucumber growing season, we will have already had our trellis built, and we can spend more time on planting than prepping to plant. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these strings across, and this thing's going to look really pretty and functional in a small space. We're going to be able to get a lot of cucumbers in this area. All right, so that's 12 strings on each side, so it's a total of 24 cucumber plants that we can have on this trellis. Now, I was thinking we could potentially have another 12, but then I got thinking that, you know, by having another 12, I'd have to put another stake across the bottom, and then we could run vertical up and down the inside. That'd be cool and everything, but the only disadvantage is at the peak of growing, when cucumbers are on both sides growing up, that inside is going to be shaded all the time. So it's going to greatly reduce the productivity of those 12 plants that we would put on the inside. So I've scratched the idea of adding 12 more plants and focusing on the 24 that we will be growing on the outside when the weather is warm enough, at probably here in southeast Wisconsin, the beginning portions of June. So it's a very it's a little more of an in-depth project. It's not just screwing some boards together and walking away. The advantage to having this particular trellis setup is, again, we have these strings on the bamboo here, and we can move them in, move them out if we need more tension or less tension. Now, when the plants have grasped onto them with their tentacles, this will be more obsolete than anything, because then the plants will be growing up the string like that. Will we leave this permanent? I don't know, but it is a very unique trellis system that I really like, and I think it's going to be very, very productive for us. Very consolidated. We can get 24 cucumber plants on there again, and this will work for pole beans or any climbing vegetable that you have. Now, with this particular setup, this will be mimicked over on our pole bean trellis here, which we will have a total of 68 plants, or 68 strings, 34 on both sides. So DIY trellis project, again, this is not what you would have to do. This is just giving you an idea of what options you may have available in your own garden.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.